Ibaka. Ball to the downtown.
3 balls and 1 strike.
District.
Yeah.
Not good.
Wrong sport, but still.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
That is no sport I want to play.
Carrie Hilton, is that her name?
You wrong.
Ooh, baby.
They broke up. 2
Oh, they
years.
did? Damn, no more Ibakas?
No more.
No Ibakas.
George Solar, Angels Royals, drops the easy catch off his
What about to that breakup? When that go down?
Is George not
years
playing?
ago.
Years?
Yeah, he used to play.
Dang.
It's not too cold to play baseball. This is
Too cold right now.
Yeah,
We got
he
Whitney
wearing?
joining us. This next year's, I need Whitney to weigh in on. Do me a favor. Timberwolves, Karl Anthony Towns, what happened with
Where you at, Ben?
Can he get some shots up?
Where was he?
Well,
Gets away with the
first
travel,
playoff
but
game.
so what does that mean?
It's first
But
playoff
then
game.
they still got a bucket out of this, though.
All right.
They did. Man, they got to get him the ball
Tony's asking
more.
for a walk.
Derrick Rose is out there
All for Arden
fouling.
He definitely traveled, but the refs just like, whatever.
The ref gave him back the ball. He's like, here you go.
I'm shocked.
Welcome back to Sports Nation. Brian Winhorst joining us right now.
Yes,
we get
sir.
right into it. We got a lot to talk about. So why
sir.
is there still drama in San Antonio? Early on I guess, I don't know. What do you guys think about this? We thought Kawhi would be back. A lot of people thought this. They thought he'd rehab, he'd be back, he'd be playing. Now it seems as if there is a rift between 2 camps. That's Kawhi's camp and obviously Greg Popovich and the Spurs. He was asked where he is. So I want to talk about it in your opinion. You heard him after the game. Your perception of this entire situation. What do you think is happening with the Spurs?
The Spurs are over here, literally, physically in San Francisco, and Kawhi is over here. When Pop says his group, he's basically saying he's not part of our group anymore. The players have been saying this. The player, Manu Ginobili said like a month ago, we don't think he's going to play. They had a players-only meeting to talk about it. I challenged him on it, and shortly thereafter, he left and went back to New York. He's off of this team for all intents and purposes right now. To me, the injury is separate because, look, I don't blame a guy who thinks that his injury might not be cleared, even if the doctors say it's cleared.
Yeah.
He only knows that. But I'm talking about the team no longer supporting him. And I'm talking to executives around the league. A month ago it was like, oh yeah, it'll work out. He'll be back. Then it was like, oh, I think it'll work. Now it's like, how are we going to trade for Kawhi?
Exactly.
The league thinks Kawhi is going to be on the market. And to me, the reason this is interesting, beyond what happens in this playoffs, and we'll focus on Spurs. They play tonight, and the Cavs play on Wednesday. What happens to Kawhi Leonard is a link to what happens to LeBron. Where Kawhi ends up this season will have a direct impact on where LeBron ends up. Even if they don't play together, they are going to be linked in where their futures are going to be.
Okay. So your take. What's going on with them?
You know what? I learned more about the Spurs through this process now than I did about Kawhi. Before, I was all Team Spurs, Team Spurs. Then I paused for a second. The reason why I'm so Team Spurs is because I had 20 years of what I thought was this goodwill. And then I started asking myself, well, why are they somewhat getting a pass for treating Kawhi in this fashion? Why are you using this language which makes him seem like an outsider as opposed to an insider by being more inclusive with we? Whereas Kawhi, instead of saying, ask his guys, saying he's not available right now. Those are 2 different sort of directions to go in with the dialogue. Then I started asking myself, well, is it because with Popovich, for instance, we like him so much, and sometimes he says the thing about social issues that we enjoy hearing from, and so we give him more of a benefit of the doubt because we like Pop. Then I thought about, all the other players, the Tim Duncans, the David Robinsons, potentially good guys. Well, all the good guys play for the Spurs, so if the Spurs don't like Kawhi, Kawhi must be a bad guy. Now I'm realizing that maybe that narrative wasn't the right narrative to have to begin with.
Some of this player sauce is rubbing off, man. That's it. I've been saying that from day one. I've been Team Kawhi. First of all, hey, Popovich, shoes on the other foot. How does that feel? Oh, it's a little tight. Because when players want to sit there and say, I'm going to take care of myself to 100% capacity, all of a sudden organizations have an issue with this. And I'm looking at them like, look, I'd rather be Kawhi Leonard right now than Isaiah Thomas going forward.
Oh, that's a good example.
And you know what happens when you try to go on that court with one leg saying, I'm going to get right while the cameras are filming me. You're going to lose value. So when coaches can walk around and say, I had a sleepless night, my back hurt, whatever it is, and they get their leave of absence, and we don't say a damn thing, don't you say nothing to Kawhi until that guy wants to come back on the court.
Okay, so Brian, trust me, I heard what you said. You dropped a bit of a nugget on us in a bombshell. I didn't ignore it. So you're saying that, and we're under the impression that they're not going to be together next year, that Kawhi will leave. So you're saying it's directly tied to
the Los Angeles
LeBron.
Lakers should be having meetings right now about what trade-up package they're going to offer the Spurs the day after the Spurs season is over, which could be shortly.
And the Clippers have already had those meetings.
Why?
Because look, people are paying attention to free agency. there's more ways to get players than just free agents. You can trade for them. And I also want to point something else out. As you think about what could happen with Kawhi, LeBron doesn't have to be a free agent this season. People forget that. LeBron has the Chris Paul option in his contract. LeBron can force a trade to somewhere. So a team that even is full right now, you say, well, they don't have cap space. If they could figure out a way to trade for Kawhi, they could force their way. And the reason that Kawhi has power about this is he's only got 1 year left on his contract. He doesn't have 4 years left. So if he goes to the Spurs and says, if you're going to trade me, I'm not going to sign an extension there. You can't trade me to Toronto. I'm not going to sign an extension there. You can't trade me to Milwaukee. He's going to say, I want to be traded to this team.
Wait, are you saying Kawhi and LeBron want to play together? I don't understand. Explain that to me.
Well, I'm going to tell you this way. If the Cavs get knocked out before the finals and LeBron has 6 weeks to think about things and 6 weeks to get in touch with Kawhi, things could get a little crazy. But just think about Philadelphia, for example. I can construct you a way that Philadelphia could trade for Kawhi Leonard and sign LeBron James.
Oh, my God.
That possibility
illegal.
exists.
Illegal. Canceled next season.
But I think the point you have to look at here is what happens to Kawhi. Whether he gets moved and goes to a place and LeBron comes with him, or he goes to a place where maybe LeBron was looking at, like Philly. Like maybe Philly does a deal and trades for Kawhi and then doesn't need to go after LeBron and uses the cap space somewhere else. Or let's say L.A. trades for L.A. somehow, Kawhi goes to the Spurs and says, trade me to L.A. Yeah. L.A. trades like a whole bunch of their pieces to get Kawhi. They don't now need Paul George to get LeBron. Now they can get LeBron because of Kawhi.
Okay, before we get into the weeds, Marcellus, I want to ask you this. Yes. The feasibility of the Cavs getting knocked out in the first round, you see them coming to L.A.?
I don't see that direct link. I don't think that
LeBron.
LeBron saying, okay, I lost here, and with this young core, a lot of role players that were elevated, and Kevin Love, I'm going to go to the Lakers' young core of a lot of players on the rise, but still deemed role players. No one's a superstar or star just yet. Now you're going to take this same formula and move it west. I don't see how it really changes in the immediate future.
But what about what Brian just said? Kawhi?
That's different.
If you tune into Mornings with Keyshawn, George, and LZ, we've
it.
also had this conversation because we started actually debating about which combination of young players would we send to San Antonio that would not rob us of all of our youth, but get us Kawhi. And we started bouncing names around. So this is definitely a theory, I think, that's been floating around among basketball aficionados.
There's meetings going on across the league right now about what the package is going to be for Kawhi.
Okay, so your gut, Kawhi doesn't come back to the Spurs.
Right now, I would have told you 2 weeks ago, there's no way he doesn't come back. But the way events have happened, I'm now 50-50. Now, I reserve the right between 2 weeks from now to say,
of course,
hey, they've mended fences and everything like that. But right now, if you're in the league and you're paying attention, you're getting ready to make a Kawhi trade offer.
The only thing I would caution against is doing your due diligence to make sure you understand exactly why they're in this predicament. Because it's been reported, and I'm not sure who's doing the leaking, that it's the presence of Kawhi's uncle/agent that began the rift with the team and with Kawhi. So you need to make sure, one, who's spreading that information, and two, if it's accurate, because you don't want to necessarily inherit something that could be toxic into your young locker room.
One other factor. Kerry, one other factor. Kawhi is about to be a shoe free agent, too.
There you go.
And if he re-signs with a new shoe company,
big baller brand,
because his talks with Jordan Brand have gone back. If he signs with a new shoe company, that may impact where he wants to play. If, let's say, Adidas goes and gets him, well, Adidas maybe want him in a larger market than San Antonio if he's going to be one of the faces. Now, I don't see Kawhi as a face of a shoe brand, but Kawhi certainly does, and that's the way negotiations have gone. So there's a lot of things in play, and all I'm saying is here, things are going to happen. There's going to be transactions that happen that lead up to the bigger transactions, and we should be watching for that right now.
The small transactions. Brian Windhorst with the bomb. The fact that Nuggets, right? Here, the Kawhi and LeBron. We're watching that. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Speaking of Nuggets and bombs, LeVar Ball. Did you know he was on Saturday Night?
I did not. I'm off.
You're off.
I'm off.
What
about y'all? Check it out.
I'm off.
My boy averaged 50 points a game,
No, he didn't.
100 assists, 500 touchdowns, and he was just certified 100% fresh by Rotten Tomatoes. Never lost. Presented the Zotiva. That's right. Only $500 a pair, lightweight, breathable, and with a back strap that'll leave your heel raw as hell. Never enough Band-Aids. Never enough band to the AIDS.
Those are just sandals.
Man, you say tomato, I say this tomato costs $500.